Hi guys, it's Just Minus Fiction and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to be sharing upcoming summer romantasy and fantasy romance releases. Alright guys, it is that time again. We are jumping in to all of the fantasy romance and romantasy books that are releasing in June, July, and August. So these are all the fantasy romance books that have been on my radar that I cannot wait to pick up. So like all my other anticipated release videos, I will be sorting this by release date, and there are timestamps down in the description if you are looking for a certain book. Now, if you're unfamiliar with my channel, I post new videos every Wednesday and Sunday. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. You can also hit that notification bell to be notified whenever I post new bookish content. You can also check out my Instagram, Goodreads, and Patreon, all linked down below. With all that out of the way, let's talk about these fantasy romance books. So starting off with books releasing in June, first up we have Fallen Gods. Now this is releasing on June 3rd, and I believe it is a new adult fantasy romance that is Norse inspired. So we are following this girl named Liv, and she's always been obsessed with Norse mythology. So when she lands her dream job in Norway, in the exact town that her brother actually went missing searching for her long-lost father, she ends up jumping at the opportunity to go. But when she gets there, mysterious things start happening, and these Norse legends start bleeding into reality, and I believe it's her trying to kind of uncover the mysteries of this town and what happened to her family. But it kind of sounds like, if anyone's seen Thor Ragnarok, it's this awesome show on Netflix where it kind of blends like Norse mythology with modern times, and I absolutely love that show and highly recommend. So if it's anything like that, I feel like I will absolutely love this book, and I cannot wait for it to release. And next up is a young adult fantasy romance, and I'd actually never heard of this book until I was researching for this video. And the plot sounds excellent. So it's Heir of Storms, and this is releasing on June 3rd. So in the story, we are following Blaze, and Blaze is from a family of fire wielders. Well, she ends up being born a rain singer, and when she is born, her power is so destructive that it almost destroys the entire empire. So because of this, she is then forced to live in hiding as an outcast, just trying to get by. But all of that changes when she receives a letter that her and her twin brother Flint are gonna have to compete for the throne. So I believe we are following Blaze as she tries to overcome all of these obstacles in her way and take the throne for herself. And this was compared to Shadow and Bone, which is one of my favorite like YA series. So I have a feeling I'm going to love this. And next up, we have one of my most anticipated releases of the year, The Forgotten Dawn. Now, this is releasing on June 5th, and it is an adult fantasy romance. So in the story, we are following Brigitte, and Brigitte is a human who is desperate to save her father who is dying. So she decides to sneak into the ruthless Fae trials in order to try to find a cure for her dying father. Now, when she gets there, these trials are incredibly dangerous, and they become even more deadly when the Prince of Shadows starts to take an interest in Brigitte. So this has been compared to Throne of Glass and Fourth Wing, and I cannot wait. It features a Shadow Daddy, it has trials, everything I love in fantasy romance, enemies to lovers. Once again, one of my most anticipated reads. So as soon as the audio for this drops, I will be listening. And releasing on June 10th, we have Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. Now, I love V.E. Schwab's writing, and for the most part, I really enjoy her books. I am not exactly sure what this book is about other than toxic lesbian vampires, because that seems to be like the main plot point that sticks out in all the Goodreads reviews. But I believe we're following 3 different women, and they're all kind of living in 3 different timelines, and I believe one of them's grappling with grief, another one has had some sort of like illicit affair, I think it is having like public shaming, and another one is also grappling with something, and we're following these 3 different women and how their lives somehow interconnect. And apparently the rating in this is some of V.E. Schwab's best, or at least that's what I've been seeing on Goodreads, so I am very interested in picking this up. Now, I know with V.E. Schwab, I have to be in the right mood to really enjoy her writing. So I don't know if I'm going to pick this up right when it releases, but I definitely plan on reading it this year. And releasing on June 10th, we have Realm of Thieves by Karina. I feel like I have been waiting all year for this book to finally release. I made another anticipated release video, and I think I got the date for the Karina Halley book wrong. So I thought this book was going to release like 3 months ago. So I am desperate to pick this book up. This story is following this girl who has been living life on the edge. She's actually a dragon egg thief, and she steals these dragon eggs and then sells them to the highest bidder. That is until she is caught by an enforcer from a rival house who kind of brings her into his world of these deadly politics, and they're going to have to become reluctant allies in order to stop this war, I'm assuming against the dragons, but all of that sounds amazing, and it's been a while since I picked up a new release Karina Halley book, so I cannot wait for this book to come out. And releasing on June 10th, we have Saints and Sinners. This is an adult fantasy romance that has dark academia vibes and features an enemies to lovers romance. So in the story, we are following Grace, and Grace is a human who does not want to attend an academy for ascendants, which are beings that have divine powers. So she is forced to go to this academy, and when she gets there, she is completely outnumbered, and everybody is trying to get rid of her and says she does not belong there. Everybody, including her roommate, Hunter. Now, Hunter absolutely wants this girl gone, and I believe they are going to have some sort of like enemies to lovers romance, and that is all I really need to know. So I will definitely be picking this book up when it releases. So this next book actually already released, but it is now getting picked up by a trad publisher and re-releasing, and I have not had a chance to listen to the audiobook yet, so I have been waiting very impatiently for Psycho Shifters by Jasmine Mass. This is releasing on June 24th, I believe, and this is a new take on Omegaverse. So we're following this girl that has to go to some sort of shifter academy to learn how to transform into a monster and fight people in battle. But her biggest concern isn't surviving this academy, it's dealing with these 3 jerks that have decided they are going to make her time at this academy a living hell, and I'm assuming she's going to have a romance with all 3 of them, and I am so about it. So, I love Blood of Hercules. It is one of my favorite Why Choose books of all time, and this is the same author, so I know I'm going to love this. I just need the audiobook to finally release. And moving into July, first up we have The Forbidden Alchemy, releasing on July 1st. Now, this is another book. I had no idea that it existed until I was researching, but oh my gosh, I love stories where the lovers are on separate sides of like a conflict, and it seems like this is going to be the vibe of this book. So we are following Nina and Patrick, and they have been best friends and have grown up together in this like struggling town. Now they end up being selected to go to this elite artisan university, and when they get there, they'll be taught how to use elemental magic. But while they are there, they end up uncovering this secret that artisans aren't actually born, they are chosen, and this causes a rift in their friendship. So now Nina ends up studying earth magic and becomes an earth artisan, while Patrick starts part of a rebellion group, I'm assuming against the artisans, and they are going to meet on different sides of this war, and I am so ready for this book. So I still have to look if there's an audiobook available, but oh my gosh, this story sounds so, so good. And that brings us to Rose in Chains, which is releasing on July 9th. So in this romantasy, we are following Bryony Rosewood, whose kingdom has fallen. Her brother, who is the prophesized heir, has been killed, and her mind magic has been stripped away. So she is now sold at auction to Tuven, who is an elite enemy noble who she once harbored a bit of a crush on. Now, as many of you know, this was once fanfiction, The Auction, I believe, that is now being adapted and re-released trad pub. And I do have some concerns. I'm very excited for all 3 books that are coming out. The Irresistible Urge, whatever that long title is, I'm going to talk about that. It might be the next book, actually. And then Alchemized from Manacled. I love all of those books. I will definitely be reading them. However, there is so much world building that they have to omit that they're then going to have to reintroduce, and I just feel like that is going to be very, very difficult. I'm really hoping everyone is able to pull it off. I just feel like part of the reason fanfiction is so easy just to fall into is that it already has a full world set up. So now we're going to have to redo that in these books that are already pretty long, more so for Alchemized than Rose in Chains. But still, I'm a little bit scared, but also unbelievably excited, because if Alchemized is even a third as good as Manacled, oh my gosh, Manacled is just such an amazing read. So anyway, thank you for coming to my TED Talk about fanfiction, but I am so looking forward to checking out Rose in Chains. And releasing on July 8th, we have Never the Roses. This is an adult romantasy debut, and apparently it kind of toes the line of feeling new adult. Also, a lot of the reviews said this is very slow, but it currently has a 4.0 on Goodreads, so I'm very interested. But the story is following a sorceress. So her name is Onira, and she has decided it is time to retire. She is sick of fighting in these wars and causing chaos and all of the things. So she's decided to put down her hat and retire. But before she does, she decides that she's bored, and she is going to break into the library of her greatest rival. I believe it's pronounced Stephanos, and she's going to steal his book. Now, what comes of this is a very unlikely correspondence between these rival sorcerers, Onira and Stephanos, and everything kind of changes when Stephanos is forced to then attack someone who is very close to Onira, and she has to decide if she wants to try to make it work with this person that just attacked her friend, or if she should go out on her own and retire, and I'm assuming it kind of goes from there. But all of that sounds really good. I kind of went down a rabbit hole of looking at everyone's reviews, and it seems like you either very much love this book or you absolutely detest it. So I'm not really sure where I'm going to fall, but I'm very curious. And releasing on July 8th, we have The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy. So in this story, we are following Osric, who is part of the Freywin Order, and he is dying. Unfortunately, the only person that can save him is RN, who is a healer and scientist, but she stands for everything that he is absolutely against. So it's going to be their romance, and it said it would be perfect for fans of the Love Hypothesis and books that kind of have that vibe. Now, this is also fanfiction that is being re-released as Trad Pub. I do not know what book this originally was, like what's being adapted, but I'm very curious. I like that this kind of has like a STEM science vibe, so another book I cannot wait to release. And next up is Terror at the Gates by Scarlett St. Clair. This is releasing on July 8th. The cover of this book is absolutely stunning, and it's definitely giving like gothic vibes. I am so ready for this book to drop. But in the story, we are following Lilith, and Lilith lives in this very pious area where women are supposed to be silent, and it's just very patriarchal. But anyway, she's been living in an area called Nevaeh, which is like the sin district, and she gets by stealing. She has some secret magic that allows her or helps her to steal, and then she sells what she steals to the highest bidder from all of these different families that she has connections with. Well, she ends up finding a blade, and she thinks that she is going to be set, but when she goes to sell it, the person who is supposed to buy it ends up dying immediately. So now she's very worried, and she seeks help from one of her only friends that she can trust. It's actually I believe it's the son of the ruler of this city, and together they are going to have to discover the secrets of this blade, and I'm assuming a romance is going to develop between the two of them. But Scarlett St. Clair is very much hit or miss with me, but recently I've been really loving her books, and I typically do love her romantasies, so I cannot wait for this book to drop. And releasing on July 15th, we have A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. This just looks like an adorable, kind of cozy, witchy romantasy. We're following this witch named Sarah, who's been exiled, and now she is living with her resurrected aunt and a fox, just trying to find a way to get her powers back. Well, she stumbles upon a book that might have the answer, and then she goes to someone, I believe, named Luke Lawson for help, and he's some sort of like magical historian who has very little patience, especially for our main character, and I'm assuming it's going to be a romance between the two of them, and it also has like found family vibes, and it just seems really cute and perfect for kind of the start of fall. And last up for July, we have Soul of Shadows. This is releasing on July 29th. And it is a young adult contemporary romantasy that is inspired by Norse mythology and also features vampires, so covers a little bit of everything. But in this story, we are following Charlie, and Charlie is really grieving after the loss of her twin sister. So she is just trying to get by in high school. That is until other students start disappearing and some strange symbols start appearing in the woods. So all of this kind of leads her to a new student named Elias, who happens to have ties to Norse mythology, and they're going to have to uncover what is happening in this town. So I am very intrigued, and I cannot wait for this book to release. And moving into August, I only have 3 books. So first up we have The Deathless One. I believe this is the start of a new series by Emma Hamm. So it's an adult romantasy. In the story, we are following Jasmine, who I believe is a princess, and on her wedding day, she is killed by her new husband. So she's actually granted a second chance by the Deathless One, who is a god of death, and if she agrees to resurrect him, he will help her get vengeance on the person that killed her and help her save her people. And I believe while these two are kind of working side by side, an attraction starts to grow. So it sounds awesome. I've read a few Emma Hamm books in the past. I feel like the one series I wasn't a huge fan of was just a me thing. It was the mermaid or merpeople type series. Very, very cool. It was just a little bit too science heavy for me. I know it's not like super intricate, but just for me, I did find some of those parts a little bit slower. But the premise of this sounds amazing. I have a feeling I'm going to love this series. And releasing on August 12th, we have Warrior Princess Assassin by Brigitte. I believe this is the start of a new fantasy romance young adult series. So in this story, we are following King Kai, who is a fire wielder, and in order to save his kingdom, he agrees to marry Princess Jory. Now, he is completely unaware that Princess Jory is harboring a secret that her magic is slowly waning. So their union could bring about absolute peaceful harmony or complete destruction. And on top of all of this, King Kai's best friend, who is now turned assassin, has just been chosen to kill both King Kai and Princess Jory. Now, I'm going to be completely honest, when I added this to my TBR, I fully thought this was an adult why choose fantasy romance, and all three of them were going to be in a romance-like relationship, but now I'm realizing it's definitely young adult. I don't think it's going that way, but I am still very interested and definitely want to pick this up when it releases. And last up, we have Dream in the Shadows, which is releasing on August 25th. This is another young adult fantasy romance, this time inspired by Beauty and the Beast and Labyrinth. In the story, we are following Esmer, and Esmer lives in a community where the people actually take an elixir, so their dreams aren't corrupted. Well, Esmer's little sister ends up having her dreams corrupted, and because of this, the family is forced to flee. So now Esmer's world is completely shattered. She's trying to find a cure for her sister, and she meets the Shadowbringer, who happens to be the controller of the dream world, and he teaches her how to use her powers that she also possesses, and now I believe she has to go to like the Nightmare Court in order to find a cure for her sister, and all of that sounds amazing. Labyrinth is one of my favorite movies of all time, so anytime I hear something is inspired by Labyrinth, I am all about it. So another book I am so excited to release. Alright guys, that is it for my summer fantasy romance and romantasy releases. I did try to stick to just standalones or first in series, but if you'd like a version of this video that features sequels or other books releasing as part of a series, I can 100% do that because this list would have been like twice the size. So let me know if that is something you guys are interested in. And I'd like to say a special thank you to my Paladin protectors, Kat, Amanda, Lotta, Leslie, Jess, and Spoon. Thank you guys so much for supporting my channel. And I said this already, I post new videos every Wednesday and Sunday. And if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. I will see you all next week. Bye!